My brother's son smashed my birthday cake on the floor and said, "Eat it off the ground." I didn't respond. That evening, my mom texted, "We decided to cut off all contact. Stay away forever." My brother seemed pleased. I replied, letting them know I'd be removing my name from every loan the next day. By midnight, the group chat was buzzing with activity. 53 missed calls. Hey, Reddit, birthdays never meant much to me. But this year, I wanted something different. Just a quiet dinner, some laughter, and maybe, just maybe, a chance to feel like I was part of the family again. I had spent weeks preparing for it. Homemade food, a cake I baked myself, and a few decorations my co-workers insisted on lending me. It wasn't extravagant, but it was sincere. In a family like mine, where appearances mattered, sincerity was hard to come by. When they showed up, the atmosphere was already tense. My brother Mike walked in first, his gold watch glinting, wearing a designer jacket, with his son trailing behind, wearing that same smug expression he'd inherited from his dad. Mom followed, sporting a fake smile and a louder voice than ever. Dad came in last, silent and distracted, checking his phone every few seconds. This wasn't the warm family reunion I had hoped for. Still, I smiled and tried to keep things cheerful. We ate, but they barely touched the food. Mom whispered remarks like, "Oh, you didn't use store-bought ingredients. And Mike's wife makes better lasagna." I swallowed every insult, every jab, because that's what I'd always done. Kept the peace until the cake came out. It was a simple chocolate cake, homemade, and I had even written, "Family means everything" in white icing. Mike's son, 11 years old, smirked at the sight of it. He turned to me and said, "That's ugly." His dad laughed. Mom chuckled, too. I smiled awkwardly, trying not to let it escalate. "Hey, it's not perfect, but it tastes good. Want a slice?" He didn't answer. Instead, he walked right up to the table, lifted the cake off the stand, and tossed it onto the floor. The room fell silent. He looked at me with that mocking grin and said, "Eat it off the ground." I didn't move or speak. I just stared at the mess of my homemade cake. The words, "Family means everything," now smeared across the floor like a cruel joke. Mom sighed. "Oh, he's just messing around. Don't make a scene." Mike laughed. "He's a kid. You're too sensitive." I looked at each of them, and for the first time, I realized that there wasn't a single person in that room who respected me. I knelt down silently, picked up the fallen candles one by one, and placed them back on the plate. Then I stood up and said, "Thanks for coming." That was it. No shouting, no confrontation, just silence. They left within minutes, laughing as they went, as if it were some inside joke I wasn't meant to understand. That evening, I sat alone in the kitchen. The lights were dim, and the smell of frosting lingered in the air. Then my phone buzzed. It was a text from my mom. "We've talked about it. We decided to cut off all contact. Stay away forever." I stared at it for a long time. Then another notification popped up. My brother had liked the message. Liked it, as if severing ties with your own family was a moment to celebrate on social media. That's when something inside me snapped. Not from anger, but from clarity. I finally understood how they had always seen me. As a wallet, a backup plan, a quiet lifeline for their reckless spending. They had taken my kindness for granted for years. But if they wanted me gone, they were about to learn what gone really meant. I opened my banking app, then the business loan portal, and pulled up the joint mortgage documents I had signed as a co-signer for my parents years ago, the one that helped them keep their house when Dad's company failed. My name was on 5 accounts. 5. I smiled to myself and typed one message into the family group chat. "Removing my name from every loan tomorrow. Good luck." At first, nothing. Just silence. Then within 10 minutes, seen by Mom, seen by Mike. By midnight, there were 53 missed calls. I didn't answer. Mom texted again. "What have you done? You're ruining us." Mike added, "You can't just walk away like this." I stared at my phone, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel fear. I felt peace because when people treat you like a doormat long enough, standing up feels like flying. The next morning, I called my financial advisor. We began the paperwork, account removals, loan withdrawals, debt reassignment notices. By 3 p.m., every loan, mortgage, and credit tie connecting me to them was legally transferred. It was done. I was free. That evening, as I brewed coffee in my now quiet kitchen, my phone rang again. This time I picked up. It was my father. His voice was shaky, desperate. "Son, listen. You can't just—" I said calmly. And I did. He fell silent for a moment, then said something I'll never forget. "You'll regret this. We made you who you are." I smiled to myself. "No," I replied softly. "You made me realize who I don't want to be." Then I hung up. That was the last time I heard his voice. It's strange how silence can be both frightening and comforting. For years, I had begged for their attention, their approval. Now that it was gone, the air felt lighter. I wasn't angry anymore, just done. I cleaned the floor, tossed a ruined cake, and baked a smaller one just for myself. Vanilla, simple, quiet. I lit a single candle, sat at my kitchen table, and whispered to myself, "Happy birthday." It wasn't the celebration I desired, but it was the first one that truly belonged to me. What I didn't realize then was that my one simple decision to remove my name wouldn't just free me. It would dismantle everything they built on my back. And when the bank started calling, the truth about their lives would come crashing down harder than any birthday cake ever could. By the end of that week, every account tied to my name collapsed. The calls that once came pleading for money turned into desperate cries for help. But this time, I didn't answer. When I said I'd remove my name from every loan, they thought it was a bluff. For years, they believed I'd always give in, that guilt and family loyalty would reel me back in. But this time, the silence was my answer. The morning after I cut all financial ties, my phone lit up again. Voicemails and texts, half pleading, half threatening. "You're ruining us. How could you be so ungrateful after everything we've done for you?" The bank just called. "Fix this." I didn't respond. I just turned my phone over, sipped my coffee, and listened to the quiet hum of life that finally belonged to me. By noon, my lawyer called. "Everything's finalized," she said. "Your name is officially removed from the loans. You're free. Free." It felt like breathing after years underwater. But for them, that was the moment everything began to unravel. 2 days later, Mom showed up at my door, not to apologize, not understand, but to beg. Her mascara was running, her hair disheveled, a look I'd never seen on her before. She didn't even say hello. She just shoved a paper in my face. "They're foreclosing on the house," she said, her voice trembling. I looked at the notice. Without my name, their loan no longer qualified for reduced rates. Their payments had tripled. "Please," she whispered. "They said if you would just co-sign again." I shook my head. "Mom, you told me to stay away forever. Remember?" Her eyes flared with anger. "That was just words. This is your family." I took a deep breath. "Exactly. That's why it hurts so much that you never acted like it." She didn't respond. She just stood there in silence, the rain soaking through her coat. For a moment, I almost broke. Almost. Then I remembered that note on my birthday cake. "Eat it off the ground." And I realized some wounds don't heal by helping the people who cause them. I gently closed the door, not with hatred, but with peace. By the end of the week, the bank began calling them. My brother's businesses were suddenly under scrutiny. It turned out several of his investments were backed by the same loans tied to my credit. Without me, the entire structure collapsed. Mom texted again that Friday night. "We're being audited. Are you happy now?" I didn't respond. Then Dad tried. "You've destroyed us, son." I typed back, "No. You destroyed yourselves when you taught a child it was okay to humiliate someone for trying to love you." And then I blocked their numbers for good. A month passed. Then, too, my life became quiet, peaceful in a way I'd forgotten existed. I spent weekends at the park, reading books and watching the sunset, without waiting for someone to call me selfish. For the first time in years, I wasn't defined by who I helped, only by who I had finally let go. Then one day, a letter arrived. It was from my father. No text, no email, just a handwritten note, shaky and short. The bank took the house. Your brother's under investigation. We have nothing left, but maybe that's what we deserved. I hope you're well. I read it twice and then set it down. For years, I had dreamed of hearing them admit they were wrong. But when it finally came, it didn't feel like victory. It just felt sad because I realized something. You can't win against people who have already lost their humanity. All you can do is walk away and protect yours. That same evening, I baked another cake. Simple vanilla again. Same as last year. Same quiet apartment. Except this time, there was no empty chair at the table. No phone buzzing. No chaos waiting to pull me back in. Just peace. I lit one candle, closed my eyes, and whispered, "Thank you." Not to them, but to myself for finally learning that family isn't just about blood. It's about those who respect your boundaries, your kindness, and your silence. Weeks later, I heard from a mutual cousin. My brother had moved away, and my parents were renting a small apartment on the edge of town. Apparently, they still tell everyone that I'm the reason for their downfall. Maybe I am, but not in the way they think. Because all I did was stop funding their disrespect. I didn't ruin them. I simply stopped saving them. And when you stop saving people who refuse to change, they finally have to face a life they built for themselves. Now, every year on my birthday, I bake a cake, a small, quiet reminder that I no longer need their approval to feel whole. It's not perfect. It still leans slightly to one side, just like the first one did. But it's mine untouched, unthrown. Because this year, when I looked at that candle's glow, I realized something simple yet powerful. Sometimes peace doesn't come from forgiveness. It comes from finally recognizing that you deserve better and never apologizing for it again.